tell our listeners your website again, how they can get involved, and is there a particular legislator that you feel should be the focus of? Well, you mentioned Ray Hall in terms of supporting. I mean, sort of giving him an attaboy, gradually giving them the moral support he knows to keep fighting the good fight. But is there a particular roadblock? Is there anybody sort of, clogging up the dam?
I think Mattiello is a pretty powerful guy.
Yeah.
So if you can get word to him, that would be great. If you'd like to get involved, I'll first make a recommendation for a film, BOT. The film BOT is on pharmaceuticals, vaccinations, and genetically modified food products. It's wonderful, very informative. And then there's also GMO OMG, which is more of an op-ed piece. And then if you want to find out what we're up to, we're on Facebook at Right to Know RI and on the internet at righttoknowri.org.
Great. We'll be providing links to all of that on coalitionradio.us. Thank you very much for coming in, and please keep apprised of what's going on. We look forward to just kind of the continuing tale here.
Thank you so much.
To support you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Great. We're going to take a quick break. We ran a little bit late. You are listening to The Coalition on Coalition Radio, worldwide global network, coalitionradio.us, facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, on the Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and our new, in its infancy, nascent streaming website, coalitionradio.org. This podcast will be on there all week. You'll have an opportunity several times a day to listen and re-listen. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back with David Broussard, Architecture Here and Now in La Prab. We'll be right back.
Need a vacation but don't have the funds? Don't worry yourselves. Just stop by Halfway Tree Authentic Jamaican Cuisine for a quick trip to the islands. Enjoy some authentic Jamaican food from Halfway Tree, named Best of Rhode Island by Rhode Island Monthly Magazine. Plus, every Saturday, it's New England's #1 weekly Caribbean party with Paul Michael. Halfway Tree is located in downtown Providence at 150 Chestnut Street. Visit us online at halfwaytreeri.com. Halfway Tree is Rhode Island's leading source for authentic Jamaican food and vibes.
Superstar Vapor Pens have arrived. These 3-in-1 vapes come equipped with dry liquid atomizers, which allow them to vaporize a variety of blends, such as e-liquids, dry herbs, and CBD oils. The unit is rechargeable from any outlet, computer, or vehicle. Whatever your smoking pleasure, visit superstarvaporpens.com to see the latest products, e-liquids, and special offers. Become a premium e-liquid club member and get discounts, free shipping, and exclusive access to new products. Get the best. Superstar Vapor Pens. Superstarvaporpens.com, or find them on Facebook and Twitter.
Beacon Shipping Logistics will ship any car, any vehicle, anywhere in the United States with door-to-door service. Just call 855-3-SHIP-IT. They ship vehicles for thousands of auto dealers throughout the country, so you know you can trust them to provide the most reliable auto transport in the industry. And they offer open or enclosed shipping for your precious cargo. Did you see a car online and can't get there? Let Beacon Shipping ship and deliver it right to your door. Need to get your boat from West Palm to Warwick Neck? Beacon can do it. Call Beacon Shipping Logistics for transporting one car to an entire fleet. Call 855-3-SHIP-IT or beaconshippinglogistics.com for service that shines. Let Beacon Shipping Logistics take the stress out of your life. Beacon Shipping Logistics provides the most honest auto transport service in the industry. Beacon Shipping Logistics, your one source for transporting one car or a whole fleet. Call 855-374-4748 for a free quote or beaconshippinglogistics.com.
Now, back to the Coalition with Pat Ford and Dave Fisher on News Talk 630 at 99.7 FM WPRO.
And yes, you are listening to Coalition Radio on the worldwide global Coalition Radio Network. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, coalitionradio.us, our new streaming website, coalitionradio.org, on the Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio. We ran a little bit long in that first segment, so we're jumping right into our second segment. Joining us today is a very special guest, David Broussard. You may know that name. He wrote for a number of years for the formerly esteemed Providence Journal as its lead architecture writer. We live in a city that's graced and sometimes cursed by wide, let's just say, a disparity in themes, content, and quality. a graduate of American University with a degree in journalism. He wrote and blogged for the Providence Journal. Now he actually writes under his own mantle. It's called Architecture Here and There. He's graced us with allowing us to republish from time to time a number of his writings, so you'll be able to find them here, but primarily at architecturehereandthere.com. David Broussard, welcome for the first time to Coalition Radio.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Dave.
The challenge is clear. Now, I like I said, I like to ask a question that sort of inflames the guest. But, you know, as I spend a lot of time driving around La Prave, as we call it, and I see everything from the great to the grotesque, and that's just spanning 3 or 4 blocks on Blackstone Boulevard. So, and it is astonishing. You know, I am possibly also the least creative person alive, so I could not define Hellenic pre-neoclassical to Federalist to Georgian to, you know, modern-esque towards just sheer grim straight out of Walmart dystopic downtown that we've got right now. So tell us, I guess, first, in a city like Providence, which is so rich in history, from its churches to its office buildings to College Hill, how important is architecture?
Well, Pat, what you reflect, in a sense, is a malady that faces everybody who lives in America, who lives just about anywhere, but particularly in America. Not so much on Benefit Street, but in most of America. We've tuned out our architecture. We've tuned out our built environment. The natural environment has oodles and oodles of defenders, but nobody defends the built environment, and the built environment is sick. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Elizabeth is absolutely right, that GMOs are a dangerous thing, and the sickness of architecture can be traced to what amounts to GMO buildings. Basically, what modern architecture does is it turns millennia of design process on its head. And what happens is that architects are taught in schools. 99 out of every 100 architecture schools in the world and in the United States teaches architects that they should ignore precedent. Nature abhors ignoring precedent. Throughout history, buildings have been, have been built using methods that build upon the best practices of the past. That is no longer copacetic in the world of architecture today, except among that small coterie of architects that produces traditional architecture, classical architecture, vernacular architecture. And if you buy your own home, you have choice. But if you pay taxes and buy your own city hall, or buy your own fire department, or buy your own library, that is through your taxes, then the government facilities committee is going to go out and get a modernist architect to build that new structure, and you're going to hate it.
Let's look at downtown.
Let me jump in here, Pat. You know, I think really the point that I'm getting from this is that modern architecture kind of lacks a soul. It doesn't, to say the least. It doesn't hearken to its predecessors, standing on the shoulders of giants, if you will. But do you see the? I don't want to call it a movement, but the idea within architecture, public infrastructure, this idea of placemaking. Do you see this as kind of a rebellion against that lack of soul in architecture, or is that part of the problem?
Well, the answer to that question is complex, as you guys are aware. All issues are complex. We recently had a movie shown by the Congress for the New Urbanism in downtown Providence, and it was dedicated to the work of a guy named Jan Gehl from Norway. And he said that public places have to be animated. But you watch this movie, and one of the problems with public places these days, except in places like Providence, but in most public places, in most cities, and even increasingly in most small towns, the streets are lined with, as you put it, soul-destroying buildings, buildings that are sterile, buildings that are anti-human, buildings that are created by people who have a perverse notion of what art consists of. And like GMOs, this has a psychological impact. This has a physiological impact. And the human brain, and I'll bring this back to Providence, because it certainly needs to come back to Providence. The human brain is hardwired to look for information in the environment. When we were roaming the savannah, we needed information to find out where the tigers were and avoid it. So that information in the modern era, in the modern age, has come down not to where the tigers are, but to what ornamentation is on your building, because ornamentation is what stands in for the information of the savannah these days. And it's vastly different, but for your brain, which is looking out for the information on the savannah, the ornamentation on the building is, either it's pillars or it's, whatever it is, pillars, columns, archways, coins. You can run down the list of the architectural implements and ornamentations that you don't understand, that nobody knows the name of. But that stands in for our environmental information. The environment is supposed to provide information, but if your building has a blank wall, if it has reflective glass, if it has no information, then it's going to be sterile, it's going to be obnoxious to you. And some people actually get sick.
Well, now, the sheer economic functionality of some of these buildings, which seems to preempt any desire to create, I'll call it an ecosphere, to create an architectural sense, has taken complete sway over construction. And having read your piece in the past, that seems to be one of your principal complaints about what's happened in downtown Providence, particularly in the last 15 or 20 years, when you've seen the mall, when you've seen downtown, the re-engineering of Kennedy Square, which seemingly happens every 2 or 3 years, when you've seen sort of these structures sort of like pockmarked around the east side. What do you think is the role, if you will, of these building commissions, particularly as we start to embark on this 195 Development Commission? How strong a sway should they have? And how germane are they to the building process?
Well, I think they need to have a strong sway, and they're generally very intelligent people. But they've drunk the Kool-Aid like so many other people have, and they cater to their friends who are fellow architects or fellow historians of architecture or fellow planners who have planned suburbia to the hilt, to the max. Talk about GMO.
Right.
And yet these people have a lot of power. What they realize is that the public doesn't like the work that they approve. And therefore, they have to speak when they are making their recommendations to developers who come in with their architects and their lawyers in tow. They have to speak in obfuscations, because this is a political process. This is a democracy. And they do not want to admit forthrightly that they do not like the same architecture that most people like. And so when they speak to these developers coming in, they speak in obfuscations. They fudge the issue. They try and make recommendations that make any building look more modernist. And they try to persuade you against building architecture that people will like. And they know that they're doing this, and so they're hesitant. But the result is that a developer will leave one of these design review panel committee rooms pulling his hair out because he doesn't know what he's being asked to do. it is my opinion, and bringing it back to Route 195, it's my opinion that developers really want to cooperate.